All right, hey everyone, welcome to Simple Budget, Great Results, where I help you understand and take control of your money. My name is Reed, and today I'm going to look at one of the budget spreadsheet templates that's available on Etsy. Now, if you haven't run into this yet, the budget spreadsheet template section of Etsy is a fascinating market. I first heard about it on an episode of the Side Hustle Show, and now that I've spent some time perusing the offerings, I'm just amazed at what's there. There are almost 26,000 search results for budget spreadsheet. I'll put a link to both the Etsy page and the Side Hustle Nation show in the notes. Now today we're going to be looking at Simple Budget Template from HayeCreatives. This was on sale for $3.25, so I thought it would be as good a place to start as any. It's advertised as one tab only, which I like, and there are tons of positive reviews. Let's get started. Now these are some of the things that I'm going to be looking for in the spreadsheet. I'll be talking about all of them as we go through this budget, and I'll summarize my opinions at the end. So when you purchase the Simple Budget template, you're going to get an instant download of a PDF with a spreadsheet button that links to a preview template version of a Google Sheet, as well as a help desk link. So the first thing that you want to do is click that spreadsheet button. Now, three things that I want to call out happen next. Number one, when you first access the spreadsheet, you must click on the Use Template button in the upper right-hand corner. That converts this to a regular Google Sheet in your regular Google account. Number two, there's a link to a tutorial video. It's really great, and it's going to walk you through all the details of how to use the spreadsheet in much greater depth than what I'm doing as part of this review. Definitely check it out. Finally, number three, you'll notice on the tabs at the bottom, it includes both this documentation, this README, as well as an example budget tab. You're going to want to look at both, and they're pretty cool. Now, getting started is pretty straightforward, and so we're going to focus first on the top left of the Budget tab. This sheet is meant to help you track a month of activity, and so you should configure the start and end date in the Overview section. From here, populate things like income, savings plan, and recurring bills. Note that bills aren't debt, and we'll get into that a little bit later. As you populate your income, you can see the left to budget graph is increasing in value. And then, as you enter your savings goals and your recurring bills, you can start to see the left to budget graph decreasing. Now, in case you're curious about my sample data, and this is something that I'm always very curious about, I use these sources. First, I used ChatGPT to come up with a persona. I specified someone female in their mid to late 20s because that's the audience that the guest was targeting on that episode of the Side Hustle Show that I talked about. Next, I used ADP's salary paycheck calculator to come up with reasonable take-home pay for someone making $85,000 a year. Note that ChatGPT is the one that landed on $85K. Finally, I looked at local apartment listings and found an average price for a studio apartment. The rest of the numbers I guesstimated. Now there's a lot to like about this budget. First, as I said before, the left to budget graph helps you make sure that every dollar has a job. This is a very common and popular budgeting principle, so I'm glad to see it show up here. Second, this budget is not just a budget, it's also a to-do list. You can see that bills and debt both help you track what day of the month they're due, and of course, you also get a handy check mark so you can check off that you've done something. Now, the expenses section helps you build out the categories that are meaningful for you. This one includes pets, for example, but not everyone's going to use that category, and the spreadsheet doesn't come with any default categories. You can add these categories and set up budgets per category, and then the spreadsheet calculates the rest. The way it calculates is actually pretty interesting. You enter expenses in a table that's a little bit further down the sheet, and you enter them one line at a time. The clear idea here is that by entering them manually, you have a very close emotional connection to the money that you're spending. Now, the category drop-down list here comes from the expenses table above, so it really is a nice integrated experience. Also below the fold is a comprehensive breakdown of where all your money went. It includes all the savings, bills, expenses, and debt. Now, if you're like me, the first thing that you notice here is that rent is a shocking 49.8%, and it takes up half the graph. That's a lot, but keep in mind we're not done with our budget yet, so that number is going to go down. Now, every product has opportunities for improvement, and so I thought I would call out a few things that stood out to me. First, I like this color scheme, and while the text is mostly pretty easy to read, the graphs could use a little bit more contrast and definitely need some labels, especially in the spending chart. Next, the currency indicator, in this case a dollar sign, is in its own cell throughout the spreadsheet. So if you're somebody who tabs around spreadsheets like I do, you're probably going to do what I did, and that's to just start typing over them. Not the end of the world, I caught myself every time, but I'm very curious as to why they didn't just use currency formatting in each of the cells. There's probably a good reason, but it's just not immediately obvious to me. So I'd also love to see some conditional formatting. For example, when a cell goes into the negative, you could easily highlight it in red or really any color that helps it stand out to the user. Now, finally, given the simplified nature of this budget, it's not clear to me why bills and debts are treated separately. It might be easier to combine them, although I definitely understand the drive to think about them differently. Now, if there was a way for the user to operationalize this difference, I would be all for it. Okay, so now back to the things that I'm kind of curious about. First, let's talk about easy to use. With its simple approach and comprehensive instructions, I'm going to say yes, this is easy to use. Does it help plan ahead? The call out to savings is critical, and core budgeting capability works great, so that's also a yes in my book. What about cohesiveness? Well, the connection between the expenses at the top and the transaction categories at the bottom is a great example of the sheet feeling like it's well put together. The consistent color scheme is also a nice touch, so for my book, this is a yes. Now, I also want to talk about tracking progress, and I think it does a pretty standard job of showing where you are in your spending for the month, so I'm just going to go ahead and give that one a yes. Now for me, one of the core reasons that I like to budget is that not only does it help me understand what I'm doing with my money in the short term, it also helps me plan for the longer term. So in this case, this spreadsheet doesn't really see beyond a single month, and so that's a no for showing progress over time, but in fairness, it's not really trying to do that, and it didn't advertise that capability. So overall, I think this is a great entry-level budgeting spreadsheet for anyone who wants a clean and easy approach to managing their money. And the price is definitely right. So give it a shot, and of course, tell me what you think. Now, for my next video, I'm going to work with a different monthly budget spreadsheet altogether, and this one is by Jira Digital Designs. I am very curious to see how they integrated growing trees into the simple budget spreadsheet. Hit that subscribe button, and you'll be the first one to see it. Thanks for watching.